Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Mega Magikarp YouTube channel. I'm Magikarp, and today we have one where my opinion might be a slight bit contentious. I'm talking about a perk, one that you may see on weapons and just instantly delete. It's Threat Detector. As of Season of the Hunt, 47 weapons at the season cap and 36 that are currently dropping in the world can roll with the perk, and I want to talk to you about why you shouldn't delete the weapon that it drops with immediately. But before we get into it, a super quick reminder: if you enjoyed the video and you want to see more like it, it would be fantastic if you could hit the subscribe button to make sure the channel reaches its first milestone of 1,000 subs. It'll be the first major stepping stone to making YouTube videos for you guys for the future. So let's get into Threat Detector, starting with what the perk actually says in-game. The description says, increased reload, stability, and handling when enemies are in close proximity. The perk has 3 different modes: inactive, active ×1, and active ×2+. The perk activates about 15 meters out, so about the range of the new Warlock melee post-nerf, or the average distance of social distance from people out in the world, and when you're not near an enemy, it simply doesn't do anything. When you're near one enemy, it gives roughly 15 extra points to your reload, so a little stronger than a full reload masterwork, a small chunk of stability, and a fairly noticeable increase to handling. When you're at 2 or more enemies within 15 meters, the perk goes into overdrive. Your reload gets added by 55, which is outlaw level fast. You almost max out the handling on your weapon, and your stability goes very high. Your mileage may vary if your weapon already has a very high base stability, so you might not get much use out of that part. But if you're running, say, the Ikelos SMG, which is at 39 stability before mods and perks, the additional 20 to 25 stability you get out of it makes it feel a ton smoother. Whereas the Last Dance sidearm, if you have it maxed out at 100 stability, it won't get any of the stability bonuses from Threat Detector. One of the biggest reasons I hear people shard it is partially because people look for perks with a little bit more agency in the role that they serve on the weapon. Let's take that Last Dance for example, a 3-burst sidearm that can roll outlaw in the same slot. Someone would look at 2 weapons with the exact same perk layout, exact same masterwork, except one has outlaw and the other has Threat Detector. Conventional knowledge is to say go with outlaw, but I would disagree with that sentiment. With a high ceiling of a massive stability buff, quick draw level handling, and outlaw level reload, the floor of the perk is, well, literally zero benefit. The perk does nothing if you're not near someone. This is mostly a video on what guns you want it on and what you don't want it on really, because a perk that's fantastic on one place may be full on meme in another. Looking at you, Threat Detector, on a rocket launcher. First and foremost are the biggest beneficiaries of the perks: shotguns, sidearms, and submachine guns. Shotguns can't even do damage outside of the range of Threat Detector, so it's basically a permanent reload and handling buff. So in PvE and PvP, I think Threat Detector is just as good, if not better than Quick Draw or Feeding Frenzy or Outlaw. You don't get a lot of the bonus for stability for a shotgun unless you have a really low stability, really fast shotgun, but even then recoil control is usually gonna be enough to handle even something like an Ikelos shotgun. Sidearms almost always want to be within the active range of Threat Detector, and the stability and handling buffs are phenomenal for PvP, and the reload buff is fantastic for PvE. A quick note, if you have an Omelon sidearm or any other 3-burst sidearm, they naturally have massive natural stability, so go into your database viewer of choice, light.gg, Destiny Item Manager, my personal favorite is D2 Gunsmith, and make sure you actually cut your stability low. Add perks like Full Bore if it has barrels, or 4-point SAS if it has optics, to get the stability as low as possible, because stability doesn't go above 100 like we said earlier. When you get the full stability bonus of Threat Detector, you go up by plus 20 or 25. So even if you have a comparatively low stability on base like 78, at ×2 you still max out your stability, and at ×1 you still get around 15 additional stability, so it's about 93 in the example I just gave. Plus you get the benefit of the extra range of those other optics or barrels, and your downside of losing stability and handling from those higher range barrels or optics are completely mitigated, so you get none of the downside. Next up, we have the probably good depending on the archetype weapons, mainly pulse rifles and auto rifles and hand cannons. Generally speaking, hand cannons will always appreciate all 3 benefits, but due to their effective range being increased and other perks being possibly synergistic or powerful, like for example the Ikelos hand cannon can really appreciate the Threat Detector bonus on all fronts, but maybe you want triple tap for better uptime instead with Vorpal weapon, or Subsistence and Rampage to rip through small adds, then maybe Threat Detector gets edged out. But remember, the Ikelos hand cannon is a 180 run per minute precision frame hand cannon, which can definitely fire within those close ranges really effectively. Adaptive frame 140 round per minute hand cannons and aggressive frame 120 round per minute hand cannons I don't think that either one of those particularly need Threat Detector, especially not the 120s. Even though they lack in stability and handling, the fact that they have such strong range, it really means that their effective engagement distances are too far for me to consider using the Threat Detector perk on those. As for auto rifles and pulses, the benefit of Threat Detector goes down with the slower the weapon gets. Say you have a rapid fire frame of either weapon. While there are circumstances that you'll be outside of range for it, it'll still be good under most circumstances. But in the case of False Promises, the 360 round per minute slow firing auto rifle, I mean, sure, it's not horrible, but I would personally rather have another perk that doesn't limit its engagement distance, since it has a high range and hits hard and fires so slow that controlling recoil at close range isn't a problem. Same with Cold Denial, where it feels actively useless aside from switching away from your clunky at close range pulse rifle to another weapon due to the handling buff. Cold Denial I just don't really like Threat Detector on all that much. It's just a very long range pulse rifle. But on Infinite Paths 8, if you held on to one from Season of Dawn, it's going to take a lot more of the benefits of the perk since it just has a high rate of fire, lower base zoom, naturally low base stability, which is buffed by Threat Detector, and is generally going to be a little bit better in close range than anything that the Cold Denial can offer. Also in this category is fusions, and while most fusion rifles hit their range cap somewhere near the point where Threat Detector activates, on the screen I actually have a diagram which Cool Guy made for his fusion rifle video a few months back. I'll link that video in the description below. Generally speaking, the stability buff in PvP is fine, but not necessary, especially since Firmly Planted is truly the winner for PvP due to strapping down the recoil pattern, but the reload buff in PvE side is welcome. And again, a weapon like Techian Force, a rapid fire frame, will appreciate it more than something like Exile's Curse, a high impact frame, just due to the fact that you'll be able to get off more shots more quickly, which generally you want for a close quarters weapon. Finally, we have either the bad ones or the meme ones, depending on how you look at it. Grenade launchers, rocket launchers, scout rifles, linear fusion rifles, and sniper rifles. These are full-on memes with Threat Detector with rare exception. Ironically, back in season, I want to say 3, competitive playlists didn't have radar, so Threat Detector actually kind of let you tell where enemies were. So snipers with Threat Detector weren't entirely useless or whatever, but they're still mostly a meme. And PvP grenade launchers in the heavy slot can occasionally make use of them, but they're not generally a top tier pick. Like, it's fine, but the only weapon I could think of that ever really used it in the heavy slot was the play of the game that I used to get the mountaintop quest done back when it was a whole drag, which could get both quick draw and Threat Detector, and they stack together. But nowadays you usually have to pick one or the other. They usually roll in the same slot, or just use something like Killing Wind for the movement bonus. And rocket launcher, Threat Detector, do I really need to spell that one out for you? Anyway, that's my soapbox on Threat Detector. Let me know what you think. Do you think any other weapons deserve special mention for it? Do you think I'm overrating it? If I'm underselling it? What other perks do you want to see me dive deep into? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below and ring the bell for notifications on new videos. And if you want to see more, be sure to click on the videos on screen. And if you really want to help me out, consider joining me on my Patreon. Every little bit helps to keep my videos going and keep my lights on. We'll see you on the next video.